Whether the team is giving you the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, this game has taken on greater meaning. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. The media has built it up into this big game. The fans, myself included, have built this up to be a massive game. The biggest, I've called it the biggest game at FedEx Field since 2012's season finale versus Dallas. We haven't had a primetime Sunday night game at home since 2016, I think, against Green Bay. I think that's the number that I came up with the last time we did that exercise. We didn't have one in 2021. We didn't have one in 2020 unless you count the playoff game against Tampa Bay, which I don't. That's not a regular season game. 19, we were horrible. We didn't have any primetime games. 18, we weren't a good football team. We didn't have any primetime home games on Sunday night. Again, we're talking Sunday night football. 17, we had some primetime games, including one at home on a, you know what? I think we had a Sunday night game against the Raiders, destroyed them. Then the following week, we had a road game at Kansas City. And I think 17 is the last time we had a home Sunday night game, and we destroyed the Raiders. So it's been a long time, long time. So we've built it up into this, huge matchup versus the New York Giants. And, the players are trying to downplay it. The coaching staff's trying to downplay it. But this is a pretty big, important game. Okay, there's no way around it. And what I've pretty much figured out is no matter what we do, first of all, understand this. Hear me loud, hear me proud, hear me now. Washington will be playing bonus football this season. We are going to the playoffs, despite what anybody says. Okay. And I've had multiple Eagles fans, few Dallas fans tell me we aren't going, Giants fans, a couple of Giants fans, we aren't going anywhere but home. We'll see about that. I had an Eagles fan tell me 3 weeks ago, after we beat them, or what is that, 5 weeks now? After we beat them, we were going to beat the Texans, but we were then going to turn around and lose to both the Falcons and the Giants. That didn't go well for him. At this point, I've come to one conclusion. Doesn't matter what we do or how we do it, we'll never get the respect that we feel like we deserve. And I'm no longer in the respect game. I'm no longer, at this point of my life, I don't play the respect card unless I feel like it is necessary. This isn't one of those times where it needs to be played. I'm just telling you, we could go on national television, beat the Giants 30-13, do it in impressive fashion. Game was never close or in doubt. And people will make it more about what the Giants didn't do. The Giants were already not playing good football. They're not a good football team. You saw what the Eagles did to them. You saw what the Lions did to them. They suck. It wouldn't be about what we did to them and that we're a dangerous team. You'll get one or two people out there that recognize, hey, shit, Washington's won, 6 out of their last 8 games. They control time of possession. They can run the football. They're creating turnovers. They're getting stops defensively. It's a pretty damn good team. You're going to get one or two people out there that recognize that. But for the most part, we're going to be overlooked and dismissed. And there's one reason as to why. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm telling you that you guys this more for your sake, less for mine, because it doesn't bother me any. All I care about is us having a chance. A lot of you guys watch Fox Sports 1. A lot of you watch ESPN. A lot of this stuff gets to you. It bothers you. That's why you send it to me. I don't watch that stuff. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. We're not going to get the respect that we deserve, and I'm past deserving respect. Take that shit. You want it? Go take it. Nobody's giving you anything. You don't deserve anything. Take it. Take it. You want respect? Take the respect. Like we had to take it from the Eagles. Take it. There it is. Go get it. We're going to be overlooked no matter what we do, no matter how we do it, or how many times we do it because of the quarterback position. You get to this time of the year and we start talking about quarterbacks and the importance of having one that people view as a Super Bowl caliber type of quarterback. We don't have that. So no matter what we do, how we do it, how many times we do it, when we do it, it's still going to fall back on, oh, it's Taylor Heinicke. That's cute. He was on his sister's couch a couple of years ago. Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, it's nice. It's never going to be, damn, Washington's #1 in time of possession. Damn, since week 5, Washington's been running the shit out of the football. Damn, Washington has some pretty good receivers. Man, Washington's defense has been playing really well. Have you seen Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen? Wow. They're creating some turnovers of late. Man, this team is they're pretty interesting. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, oh yeah, they got Taylor Heinicke at quarterback. It's only so far that can take you. And they're not wrong. It's our job, or it's those players' jobs to prove that narrative false. But I'm here to tell you, I fully expect to win on Sunday night. How many times have you heard me talk like this before? I don't. You guys know me. You've been listening to me for long enough to know I don't talk in guarantees, certains, and definites when it comes to this team and winning. I don't do that because I usually don't have that type of confidence attached to anything that this team does, because they've been so inconsistent over the last 2 decades that it's hard to talk in definites other than, hey, we'll see what happens, because we never know what's going to happen with this team. I've got another comment that I want to read to you guys a little bit later on in the show, and it's spot on again. It's from my guy, King of the North. But I read to you yesterday what King of the North had to say, and he made some valid points, and he made some more points, and all of them ring true. And all he's done is reinforce something that I've been saying, and I'm going to continue to say, because that's who we are. But just know this, as things start to shape up, I listened to all the players today. We heard from Chase Young and Terry McLaurin and Charles Leno Jr. and Logan Thomas and Taylor Heinicke and Derek Forrest. We heard from all those players today. And to a man, the message was pretty much universal. Yeah, it's a big game, but we're not putting as much stock into it as some of you are. I think they understand, though. Ron is pretty good at doing one thing in these meetings behind closed doors. He's very good at delivering the message of what a game means. He's told the players so many ways, over and over again, this is a big one. He's already instilled in the players that division games mean ×2. But this one is more than just ×2. It's not just your normal standard run-of-the-mill divisional game. It's a big one with a lot at stake. The difference between making the playoffs comfortably, barely making it, or not making it at all is the outcome of Sunday night's game. You want the former of those 3 options, which is making the playoffs comfortably, beat the Giants. You want the other 2 options to be on the table, barely making the playoffs or missing it altogether, lose to the Giants on Sunday night. It's really simple. This is not a hard equation. I've laid out the math for you guys. Okay. Right now, Washington, and this number has changed because when I gave you this number, the games on Sunday hadn't taken place. The Seahawks hadn't lost yet another game. The Giants had yet lost another game. So now that those statistics have probably gone up. At the time when the Giants were 7-4-1 and Seattle was 7-5, Washington's chances of making the postseason were 66%. This according to the ESPN playoff predictor. Okay. I'm pretty sure after Seattle losing and dropping to 7-6 and the Giants losing and dropping to 7-5-1, Washington's chances of going to the playoffs, I would assume, has gone up to, let's call it 71%. When I read you that stat, it said if Washington beats the Giants in week 15, their chances of making the playoffs would rise from 66 to 90%. 90% chance of making the playoffs. They lose and it drops to 36%. Not impossible, but the road just got a lot tougher. We know who we're facing. We know who the Giants are. It's not a surprise. None of this is a mystery to us. They know who we are. They know what we're bringing to the table. They're not going to be wowed by anything they see from us. It is what it is. The better team needs to go out and win. I think that's us. Be nice to show the rest of the country that that's us as well. That tie isn't indicative of who the better team was on that afternoon and who the better team is on Sunday night and who the better team overall is. I want to see what the crowd turnout is because I hate when the media makes a big deal out of crowd turnout. The players, it's weird with the players when it comes to fans, right? Because on one hand, they want the fans to show up. I think they're kind of conflicted because if you've been here long enough, you're somewhat jaded and you know what to expect and you don't want to get your hopes up. You don't want to psych yourself up because of all of the noise on the outside telling you this is a big, important game. A lot of Washington fans are going to be in the stands. You know better. The Giants are just a rock throw up the street. Their fans are coming, and they're coming in droves. And there aren't enough tickets Jonathan Allen or Charles Leno Jr. can buy to get that stadium filled up with Washington fans. It's just not going to happen. My question isn't, is Washington fans going to be in there in large portions? It's rather, can we stave off a 55-45 split with the Giant fans? They're coming. This isn't going to be like when Jacksonville showed up or when Minnesota came or, some off-brand team that doesn't really travel well on the East Coast. This isn't going to be that. This is going to be like it always is when it comes to an NFC East team. They're coming in and they're looking to take over the stadium. So on one end of the spectrum, you got players saying, hey, want the fans to come out, support, we need you, yada, yada, yada. Then you got on another hand, players like, yeah, we don't really worry about all that. All we got is us in this locker room. That's all we need. This, that, and the third. And then on the other hand, you're like, yeah, I'm just hoping that the Giants fans don't take over or it's like a 50-50 split. I've heard all three, from Jonathan Allen, who's on one end of the spectrum, like, hey, we need fan support, need you guys come out here, have the stadium rocking. And then you've got guys like Jahan Dotson, who just got here, who really isn't all that moved by the fans, And here's the thing about what you have to understand with a lot of these players is they played in college. If they played at a major program, Jahan Dotson, for instance, played at Penn State, their stadium holds like 110,000 fans. And when they're having a big game against Ohio State or Michigan, it's packed to the rafters. You can't get a ticket When they have a whiteout against Ohio State on a Saturday night on ABC, 110 with standing room only outside of the stadium, there's probably 125, 30,000 people at the stadium. You think these little rinky-dink NFL stadiums move these guys? At the horseshoe in Ohio State, that thing's 90,000 to 100,000 people. They're playing Michigan in a rivalry game the weekend after Thanksgiving. You think this game matters to a Chase Young or a Terry McLaurin or a Curtis Samuel in terms of fan turnout? They're not moved by this. Are you crazy? So a lot of these guys, they're not really moved by the whole crowd thing. You're like, yeah, if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. It's whatever. In order to change that with the players, we got to show up. But again, I don't think a lot of people are showing up until Dan Snyder's gone. So that's another discussion for another day. Bottom line is, I said all of that to come back full circle. We want respect. We're going to have to take it. And at this point, I'm not about begging for respect. I'm not looking for it. I'm out for taking respect. We were 11-point underdogs against the Philadelphia Eagles. They thought they were going to, roll into the link and roll out with a dub and have it be little to no resistance because of what they did to us in week 3. We took respect that night. There's still people not giving us our credit for that victory. Oh, somebody told me that somebody else said, and I don't give a shit about this, that, the Eagles haven't lost a game all season. They haven't been beat. That was the phrase they used. They haven't been beaten this season at all. The only time they've lost is when they beat themselves. They haven't lost to another opponent all season long. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. I hope we get the opportunity to do it again. But in the meantime, we got the Giants on tap. We're favored in this game. Here's the thing that I'm dying to see. We're favored this time around. This isn't like other times in the past where we can play the underdog card. Nobody's giving us respect, this, that, and the third. No, we're favored in this game. We're supposed to win. The Giants are reeling. We'll see what we do in this game. I'm anxious to see how they handle coming off the bye. Ron talked about that today. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to see how they handle this environment, this magnitude of a football game. Guys are trying to downplay it. Oh, it's just another game. No, it's not. And they'll figure that out. This is going to have a playoff-like atmosphere. Charles Leno Jr. said, oh, yeah, the game against Philadelphia had a playoff atmosphere. I believe him. That game felt like a playoff game. I watched that game feeling like it was a damn playoff game. Every single snap, I was at the edge of my seat on pins and needles against the Eagles. It felt like a playoff game. Same way that Steelers game in 2020 felt like a playoff game. That's what Sunday night's game is going to feel like. Every single snap is going to feel like the most important snap. Why? Because it is. The next snap could be the snap that changes the entire game. He said that the game against the Giants in week 13 felt like a playoff game. I don't know about that. I don't know. I didn't feel that energy. I can't speak for you. I wanted it bad. I didn't feel that energy. It's going to be electric for this one. Okay? The energy is going to be electric for this one. So, you want respect? Going to have to take it. And for me, we got it. We have to hit the reset button. Okay? Because we didn't beat the Giants and we got that tie. You go into the bye week. Now you got to hit the reset button. Now you got to earn it all over again. So let's see if we can do that. Let's go to in other news. So we heard from a ton of guys today, as you always do on Wednesdays. They open up the locker room to the media. And so there was media scrum at, as I mentioned, so many guys' lockers. We heard from Taylor Heinicke at the podium. Same with Ron Rivera. And we'll get to all of what was said from the players in a second. But let's first start with the injury report, the all-important injury report. And I just want to say this before we get to it. This is by far and away the most ambiguous injury report of the season. And the reason I say this is because unlike past injury reports that we've looked at that have looked like a laundry list and a bunch of guys were limited or didn't practice, there was a sense of where we were with these players because of what either happened the week prior or, what happened just 3 days ago in the game. Like if a guy just got injured, you can kind of deduce how serious of an injury it is. If he didn't practice, it's not looking good for him, or if a guy was out last week, but he was on the side field, you're like, hey, he's getting close. If he didn't have a setback, he's getting close. And if he's limited today, that's a step from last week when he didn't practice at all, right? So you can kind of sense where we are. We didn't play last week. There are injuries on this report that we weren't privy to because they didn't have to disclose injuries after a game, right? There was no practice last week. So when we get the injury report and Jamin Davis is on it with a concussion, we didn't know he had a concussion, so we don't know where he is in the process. So this is the most ambiguous injury report that you've seen all season because there are at least 9 limiteds on this list. I could be over exaggerating. Let's get to it and see. So per usual with this team, it's a laundry list full of notables on the injury report. We come off a bye and we're still banged up. Okay. But that's how it goes this time of the season. Okay. We're getting late into the season and there's bumps and bruises everywhere. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys on the injury report. And I'm just going to tell you that every single one of them matters. Not a single guy on this injury report is like, oh, okay, it's whatever. We don't have those guys anymore because of how we're built and what we do. Everybody contributes in some form or fashion. Every one of these dudes matters on this injury report. So let's take a look. Antonio Gibson, foot. He had a foot injury before we went on the bye. He's still limited after the bye. To what degree? I don't know. I can only imagine that he's much healthier than he was prior to the bye. So I'm just assuming. And I already told you guys this many moons ago. Wednesday is the day that you go limited or you're out because, again, you're installing the game plan for the upcoming week. So more than anything else, you just need guys to be mentally locked in. You need to be able to see what's going on, hear the game plan, see how it's being implemented, and you need to lock in from a mental standpoint. Yeah, I would love for you to be out here executing the game plan, but if you can't, as long as you're locked in mentally and you're getting it, we're good. Thursday is the day where I start to really draw inferences as to where we are with some of these players. Because if you're limited on Wednesday and you're limited on Thursday, I like that you're trending in the right direction. 2 days of limited in a row, at least you're not out. If you go limited Wednesday and then DNP Thursday, we got a problem on our hands. Okay. So there's a lot of limiteds. These could go any way. We could go limited all week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and not play on Sunday. We could go limited all week and be ready to go on Sunday. We could go Wednesday limited, Thursday DNP, and Friday DNP, and you're out. This could go in. That's why it's so ambiguous. So let's just go through it quickly. Antonio Gibson, foot. He's going to play. I'm not worried. Barring a setback, I feel good about him. Dax Milne, we do not know because he missed the final 2 games prior to the bye against Houston. And I think he played against Houston, actually. No, against Atlanta, rather. Excuse me. He missed the Atlanta game, and he missed the Giants game. So as far as I'm concerned, that's an iffy one. Not quite sure where we are with his foot. Andrew Norwell, shoulder. I expect him to play. That's a new injury added to the list, but I expect him to be fine. Brian Robinson Jr., quad, a new injury added to this list. Don't really know where he stands. Can't even begin to speculate. We'll see. Tough guy. We already know that. I expect him to play, but we'll see. Cam Sims back. Anytime we start talking about a guy's back, I have no clue. We'll see what that means for him. He brings a lot to the table, so it would be nice to have him available. James Smith-Williams, concussion. Again, I don't recall him getting injured versus the Giants. So who knows when that happened. I would assume during that game. Hopefully he's okay. The beauty of him and Montez Sweat with concussions is they had a full week off with that concussion. So the hope is that they'll be ready to go this week. Benjamin St. Juste, ankle. This was the one that we were really worried about, him and Montez Sweat. and Sam Cosmi and Trey Turner in particular were the ones we were really most concerned by. Juice, ankle, limited. Don't know what that means. Missed the prior 2 games. Falcons and Giants first game with the ankle, had a week off. This is now a month since he's been on the field, if you count this entire week leading up to the game. So no game action against the Falcons, no game action against the Giants. Bye week, and now a full week again of preparation. I'd like to think that ankle should be ready to go, but who am I to tell you guys where his ankle should be? So all we can do is hope. Again, if he can't go, I'm going to say this again, and I really hope he can go, but if he can't, if you're going to miss a game, the Giants and the Falcons were the 2 teams you could miss against. We really can't afford for him to not play the remainder of the season. So if he doesn't play in this game, I'd be fine with that if you could tell me, and there's no guarantees in this thing, but if you told me, hey, he's not going to play on Sunday night, but he'll play the remainder of the season, I'd take that. Montez Sweat, concussion, limited. Again, we know that he sustained the concussion against the Giants, did not finish that game. The hope is that week off provided him with the time that he needed to get to where he needs to be. The fact that he was limited with a concussion is a good thing, okay? So let's hope he'll be ready for Sunday night. Trey Turner, knee, limited. Again, another guy that we're hoping we have available for us because we already got parts moving at center. We really don't need guard to be in flux as well. So I'd like to have a little bit of continuity, if at all possible, with Trey Turner being back in the mix. The more bodies on the line, the better. Him and Cosmi being healthy, that's a great problem to have. Chase Young, knee, limited. We already know about the knee. We know about his limited participation in practice. It's been that way since he's come off of IR. We'll see what that means for him playing. He was very ambiguous during his media scrum today at his locker. So I can't give you anything. I can't provide you with any further information. I can just tell you what I gained from listening to him talk. We'll do that in a second. Sam Cosmi and Jamin Davis both full. So Cosmi with the ankle, that's great news. But we'll see if that's a full tomorrow as well. If it is, worst case scenario, Sam Cosmi will be ready to go at guard, and that's a good thing. So Jamin Davis, thumb full. I'm not worried about him. So we go from the Washington side of things to the Giants. And just like us, they've got a laundry list of injuries. Josh Azudu, a neck, that's an offensive lineman. They have a ton of issues up front. Hopefully we can exploit that, sort of like we did the first game. Adoree Jackson, he didn't play against us the first time. I still don't think he's going to play against us this time. Did not participate in practice with a knee injury. I think he's about another week or 2 away, but we'll see. Richie James actually had a really solid game against us the first time. Had a big catch in overtime that we thought we were going to pick off. Somehow Daniel Jones got that ball in there. I still don't know how he got it in there. Concussion, did not practice. That's not a good sign. So if he sustained that concussion against the Eagles, there's a chance that he's not playing against us. They can ill afford any more injuries at receiver. So I'll take it if that's the case. Dexter Lawrence, nothing to see here. He'll be playing on Sunday. Shane Lemieux, toe, another offensive lineman. Again, they can't afford to have many guys out there already struggling on the O-line. So we'll see what happens there. Julian Love, nothing to see there. Jihad Ward is another big piece on that defensive line. He was one of the guys that forced a fumble against us. We fumbled twice, lost one, recovered the other. His fumble we actually were able to recover, but he's another piece on that defense that is really big for them. If he can't go, that's a huge blow to that defensive line. Daniel Bellinger is one of Daniel Jones's best and favorite targets at the tight end position. Rib limited. I think he's going to go. Tight ends are usually tough guys. I think he'll play. Nick McLeod, illness, limited. We'll see what happens there. He's a secondary member, linebacker, one of those positions. Ellerson Smith, Achilles, limited. The time I hear Achilles, even if it's just sore, you get a little nervous. Leonard Williams' neck, that's a big one. He was in and out of the lineup against us the first time we played the Giants. When he's in, he's a problem. We'll see what that means for him. He's been dealing with, various ailments, but the neck in particular, I remember him dealing with that neck against us a couple of weeks back. So if he's not fully, healthy, that could still be a problem lingering for him during the game. That's huge. And then Michael McFadden, neck, ankle, full participant, more likely than not. that means he's going to play. We will keep our eye on their list because just like our list, they've got a lot of important players on this list. So really interesting to see what transpires with all of these names. So let's talk about what was said and how the messages that we heard from the players and coaches alike were delivered to the media. Before we do that, I don't want to forget because my mind is bad. I want to start the process of giving away tickets. If you're a member of either Patreon or the Mob, go ahead, use the hashtag #MustWin if you're looking for 2 tickets to the Giants game on Sunday night. Must win. I will leave that in the description of this video. This is the video. You need to put it in the comment section of this video, okay, of this live stream. So don't put it in the live chat. Put it in the comment section after the video is over, or maybe you can do it now. It doesn't matter. But hashtag must win. Have to be a member of the MOBB or Patreon to get the tickets. You know what you have to do, and we'll do that drawing on the show on Friday. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to get through this video and use the comment section, and we'll give those tickets away on Friday's show. So Ron Rivera stepped up to the podium today, and I thought he had a number of interesting and important things to say. The most important thing that he said was that Wes Schweitzer was going to play center for us moving forward. So the last time we saw Wes at center, it was not good. It was at home against an NFC East opponent, and we gave up 9 sacks, and he had terrible snaps. It was rough, to say the least, and that's putting it mildly. He was awful in that game, and he got hurt. So I'd be lying to you if I said I was looking forward to Wes at center. But I know he's capable. I love Wes. He's a tough guy. But I like my Wes Schweitzer, and I prefer my Wes Schweitzer at guard. So we'll see how this goes. The snaps need to be better. They were terrible the last time. Remember, Wentz had to keep bending down for the snap. It was like he had a snap deficiency or something in terms of strength. Like the ball was barely getting back to Wentz. He constantly had to bend down to field snaps. They weren't straight. He was having to reach over to his left or to his right. And then the communication inside wasn't very good. That's the stuff that, worries me when you have a new center, is the communication inside. And this Giants team isn't a team where you need issues inside with communication, because that's where they do their most damage, is inside. So we're moving forward with Wes Schweitzer at center. I'm not mad at it, but I'm not glad at it. So we'll see how that goes. So that was a big, important piece of news from Ron. Ron talked about Chase Young. That was more interesting than anything else. Said that Chase looked good with the snaps that they gave him. And, we'll see where he goes from there. Again, very ambiguous with Chase, and Chase himself was very ambiguous. So I couldn't tell you. I didn't get a sense from anyone that talked about Chase Young, including Chase Young, that whether he was going to play or not. So Ron talked about, the nature of this game, the importance of this game, the back-to-back nature of this game, and the amount of time they've had to prepare for the Giants. I think something else that was important that he said was they were a little sloppy at practice. Not like to the point where it was problematic. It was just some things that they need to clean up. These weren't issues that they had prior to the bye. But, you have a week off of work and you come back and, there are a couple of mental errors and issues that crop up. And this is the time to rid yourself of that. Through these 3 days of practice, you need to find a way to clean up any issues from a communication standpoint, and all of that stuff, especially up front on the offensive line. Clean all of that up. Back end, you got moving parts. Hopefully you get juice back, but make sure everybody's on the same page and get everything where you need it to be to take care of business on Sunday night. So he said they're going to make sure that they hone in on a lot of those little mistakes that they made in practice today, tomorrow, and Friday. So hopefully they're able to take care of that. He talked about weather and, because Ron showed up at the podium looking like Lovie Smith. Lovie back in Chicago stayed with a piece of snot that was like permanent right here. And Ron, it's cold outside when your shit just running. It's just running. Like Ron had been inside for like 20 minutes and his shit was still running. So he was definitely outside. It was cold, right? So he talked about it being cold and about the elements and how he feels like that's an advantage for East Coast teams who play outside. And it's a disadvantage for teams coming from the West Coast or from the South or who play in domes. This is why you want to have home field advantage, to put teams in an uncomfortable position, like, playing outside in the elements this time of the year. But Ron made mention of, just feeling good about all of the different aspects. He talked about feeling good about Curtis Samuel, like this is what they envisioned when they signed him. And, I don't know if you guys know, this was the most surprised that I think I was. Other than when they called out Jamin Davis at the beginning of the season, I was really surprised when Jack Del Rio did that, because that's not Jack Del Rio's style normally, to call out players via the media. But I think they did that on purpose as a ploy to motivate him, and it's worked. But I was super surprised when they did that. I haven't been surprised by anything that Ron really has said, because even when Ron, took a shot at Jamin early in the season, it was after Jack did it. Jack was the one that opened the can of worms. Ron just kind of co-signed. Ron said that, and maybe you guys knew this already, and I just missed this somehow, but Ron said with Curtis last year, he had surgery before the season. They elected not to tell anyone, and that was a mistake on their part, that they tried to keep it hush-hush, and they made mistakes in not disclosing that so that people could be a little bit more understanding of the process. And then he said, we even doubled down on the mistake by kind of rushing him and not trusting the process. So a lot of it was our fault. And I was like, Curtis had surgery? That's news to me. No, we didn't. That wasn't disclosed to us. But and that's why this administration under Ron Rivera is different. Because if they don't want something getting out, like, again, you may have heard that. I may be late to the party. I had no idea Curtis Samuel. It makes a lot more sense as to why he struggled last season to come back and ever stay healthy. Man was coming off of surgery, and they didn't give him the proper amount of time to get back. Like, look at what they're doing with Chase. And I get it. It's a totally different procedure. It's a totally different recovery time. It's a totally different player, right? Different body part, all of that good stuff. But a groin is a groin, man. If you've ever had, I've had a groin injury. If you've ever had a groin injury, the only thing that's going to heal it is time. You're not going to rush a groin or massage it and make it better, okay? That might be a temporary fix, but that groin is going to bother you until you give it the proper amount of time to heal. And I told you last year, and I remember I was very adamant that they should have put him on IR and just let him heal. They refused to do that until it was too late, till the end of the season. They refused to put Curtis. They were so bullheaded last year. They refused to put him on IR. And they should have. And now, knowing that he had surgery, they definitely should have put him on IR. They got this new toy and they were so excited about it. They couldn't wait to get their hands on it and play with it. Pause. That they didn't do the thing that they needed to do, was protect their investment. Make sure that he was ready. Well, he's ready now, and he's having a monster season for us. The contributions that he's turned in this year can't be understated. Ron talked about his versatility. He talked about him going in motion and how he changes things. And frankly, just getting a ball in his hands is a big deal for me. Every time he touches the ball, there's a chance that a big play can happen. I'm still waiting on a big run of some sort. I'm still waiting on a short pass underneath that he makes 2 or 3 guys miss, and then he's off to the races because he's got that ability. We don't have a lot of guys. We saw what Jahan did after the catch. Like, that's what's been missing in Washington. That's never been Terry. Actually, though, Terry's gotten better this year. You know, Terry's more of a, I'm going to stiff arm you. I'm going to run through an arm tackle. Terry's not breaking anybody off. He's not spinning on a dude like Jahan did. You know, he's not juking anybody out of their shoes like we've seen Curtis do this season. But all of them, in their own unique way, can break tackles, get yards after catch and contact. So Curtis has been huge. And if you're not a Washington fan, you don't understand the importance and the value of what Curtis Samuel has brought to this offense this year. He's been outstanding with a capital O. So Ron talked about that in a number of different topics, but I was really fascinated with the fact that he had surgery last year, and I didn't even know. And I don't think a lot of you knew because they didn't tell us, and it didn't leak out. There was no Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter report that said Curtis Samuel, who had surgery earlier, like there was no, leaking of this. They wanted to keep this in-house, and they did. That's fascinating for an organization that had leaks galore. That's amazing that never came out until just today. But anyway, heard from Taylor Heinicke. And, another thing Ron said, and we know this to be a fact on bye weeks, is teams do a lot of self-evaluating, self-scouting over the bye week. What can we do better as a football team? And, Ron pointed out 2 things that they needed to do. And this, we've been singing this song. I know I have for the better part of this, 8-game stretch that we're on, or, 7 with Heinicke and the 1 in the Bears game with Wentz. I've been singing the same song over and over again, especially over the last month or so in particular, which is we need to score touchdowns. We have to stop kicking field goals we've kicked I would assume outside of Denver, we've probably kicked the most 20-something yard field goals. That's not a good stat. That's not the stat you want to be at the forefront of. You don't want to be kicking 20-something yard field goals. That means you got inside the 10, inside the 15-yard line, and you couldn't punch it in. But a lot of ours have been inside the 10, inside the 5. We're kicking 23 and 24 and 26-yard field goals. You're at the 6 if you're kicking a 26-yard field goal. Like, that's not how you want to live in this league. You don't win consistently doing that. And we've been getting away. He also talked about the ability to adjust faster. And remember how, if you're a member of the MOBB, if you're a gold member and you've been watching the film with me, what have I talked about? The lack of adjusting until the second half, which has bothered me, specifically in the run game. I talked about it against the Falcons. I'm like, why are we not going to a 5-man defensive front? If the Falcons have anything less than 11 personnel on the field, if they've got 11, 4-man defensive front, and if they run out of that, touche, you got me. Okay, we should be able to stop them, but if not, you got me. But if they come out in 12 or 13 personnel, and we saw that quite a bit, 12 and 13 personnel, and you're like, or 21 personnel, and you're like, bro, why are we in a 4-man defensive front when you know they're running the football out of this? And if they're not, they still got a bunch of tight ends on the field. We should be able to cover them despite having one less backer or nickel back or, whatever on the field, safety corner. Despite having one less of those guys, we should be able to cover tight ends. They did it against Atlanta. They did it against the Giants. In both of those second halves, the run defense was way better, but not without getting gashed in the first half. Same thing with Tennessee. Got killed and gutted in the first half, and then second half, we tighten up. But it's too little too late, particularly in that game. So he said he wanted to see, and Jack has been on them about that, and he said he wants to see them be better in that regard as well. So Taylor Heinicke talked about a number of different things. He had a light moment with the media where he talked about a tie. He said he watched a fight over the weekend and it was a tie. He said, imagine getting your ass beat for 25 minutes and then it ends in a tie. He said that's what happened in the fight. And then he said, well, shit, come to think about it, that's what happened in our game. He said it sucked. Don't want to feel that way again. That's every player to a man in the locker room has said the same thing. Ties are weird. That's why that's one of the reasons why soccer has never caught on here in the United States, because any sport where a tie is acceptable isn't a sport I want to be a part of. Even hockey said, these ties leaving a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth. How about we have a shootout instead? Somebody's got to win the game. Makes more sense. So Heinicke talked about needing to, his self-evaluation over the bye was, I swear, sometimes, I like to toot my own horn. I'm not afraid to do that. When I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I'll offer up a 0-0 when necessary. But for the most part, when I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. But when I'm right, you're going to hear about it. I'm going to tell you I'm right. I swear, I've said this as many times as I can remember over the last about 2 to 3 weeks. And I've really harped on this and I've repeated myself over and over again purposefully so that the Heinicke Hive and those of you out there watching can understand exactly where I'm coming from. Taylor Heinicke, I've said this, I don't need more of Taylor Heinicke, okay, in terms of more passing attempts, more of him having the ball in his hands and making a decision. I don't need more of that. I'm fine with 27 pass attempts. I'm fine with 29. 31 is as high as I really want to go. Anything over that, you're probably treading into a dangerous zone that's uncomfortable and probably not going to lead to a victory. But, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But I'm perfectly fine with my 27, passing attempts for Taylor Heinicke. What I'm not fine with right now as we sit here heading into week 15 is what we're getting out of those 27 pass attempts. So I don't need more of, I need more from Taylor Heinicke. So the opportunities that you are getting, there are plenty, make the most of them. And he literally said the same thing. He literally said, I don't need to throw it more. I think the formula that we have is working. I don't need to, they asked him, when you see Daniel Jones running the football the way that he's been able to do it, does that make you want to run it more? He's like, nah, just stick to the game plan. I don't need to do anything more than I'm already doing. Like, I don't need more attempts. I don't need to run it more. I need to do more with the opportunities that I'm getting. I missed Logan Thomas for a touchdown. I missed some opportunities in the game. And these are all facts. These are the things that we've talked about. He missed Terry in the Falcons game. Like, let's not make it harder than it already is. So that was good to hear from him. Now, again, he could say that. It's another thing to go out and do it. So he said he was working on some things to try to help clean up some of those issues. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. But all in all, he's ready for the stretch run. And he needed this time too. Remember, he got banged up against the Texans. Then he had a handoff against the Giants on a jet sweep, or was it the Falcons, where his arm kind of got bent back and he was like kind of flexing it. He needed this week. He's been taking a little bit of a beating, and this week is good for everyone's body. So hopefully this stretch run will be a lot smoother for these guys now that they've had this bye week at this late, juncture of the season. So heard from a number of guys in the locker room, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Charles Leno Jr., Chase Young, Derek Forrest, all of them had locker room scrums. But, Chase was the most important. He spoke for roughly 6 minutes. It was like 5 minutes and 50 seconds or so. And, or was it 5 minutes and 11 seconds? Something to that effect. It was either 5:51 or 5:11. Either way, he pretty much, tried to downplay like football and the importance of it in his life. He's like, yo, football doesn't define me, you know. Again, all of that is fine and dandy. And and football shouldn't define you as a man. It should not. This is a game that you play, but it's not who you are. So he's right. But at the same time, at this point, we're just looking for, when are you coming back? I'm not looking for the deep philosophical, but they asked him questions that prompted that answer from him. Like, mentally, where are you at? Because this is what happens when you're out as long as he's been. You start to wonder, is he not playing because of a mental toll that it's taken on him? Does he not think he's ready? Does he not have confidence in the knee? Because when you talk to Ron and company, doctors have already cleared him. He's ready to go. Ron's like, hey, Chase, what's good? And Chase is like, hey. But then, and remember, Chase said about a month ago now, I decide when I'm ready. I make the final decision. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, what you waiting on? Holla at your boy. But then this media scrum, he says, when they tell me to go, when they give me the green light, I'm gone. So it's kind of like mixed signals, so to speak. Look, there's been an excuse for Chase to not play since week number 10. The last time that I think he was mentally like, yo, I think I could play, and I just don't think he was ready yet, was week 10 at Philadelphia. Natural grass surface, perfect conditions, no reason for him not to play. The following week against Houston, that's not a natural grass surface. That's turf. Probably don't want him on it, right? Okay. So not playing against Houston. There was this thought that, hey, he could go against Atlanta, really nasty day. Do you want a guy coming off of a major knee surgery playing in a sloppy, field with water everywhere, just raining from start to finish? Is that the kind of environment you want a guy making his season debut in? Probably not, right? The following week against the Giants, there was no way in hell they were putting him on that turf against the Giants. And he even spoke to turf versus grass. He said, there was no way that made sense for me to play. That was the right decision for me not to play against the Giants. Like, turf is not good for, anybody. There's no give. He's like, even if you're coming off of an ankle injury, turf isn't a good look for you because there's no give on turf. So that was another reason for him not to play. There's no excuse for him not to play other than if he's just not mentally ready, because the knee is ready. Okay. Physically, the knee is fine. Surgically repaired. Now it's about mentally, is he ready to go? I still contend that he's going to go in this game. But how many times have you heard me say that? I've been saying that probably since week 11 against Houston. Can't be any. I think I said my target date was week 9 against Minnesota, if you recall. So I told you guys, though, I went back and I said, what I've been told is it's not week 9. It's going to be week 10 against the Eagles on Monday night. Obviously, that didn't happen. Then from that point on, it was like a crapshoot. And there were reasons every single week. Turf in 11, rain in 12, turf again in 13. Here's your opportunity in week 15. So we'll see what happens. I expect him to play this week, but then again, I've expected him to play for almost a month and a half every week. So one more thing that he said that was, really fascinating, and that was, when he comes back, we've heard about the pitch count. Ron has been very, he's been very steadfast on the pitch count being the way they will utilize him when he returns to the field. He's been very resolute in that regard. Chase said, when I get out there, if they send somebody for me and I wave him off, I'm ready, So we'll see. Because Ron said the same thing about Logan Thomas week 1 against Jacksonville. And then the game got tight and Logan was in there playing good ball and they just said, F it. Logan's got it. And he ended up playing, I think, like 40-something snaps in a game where they wanted to keep him to no more than like 20, 25. He played like 40-something snaps. So maybe even 50-something snaps in that game. So we'll see about the old pitch count. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to our first look. Remember, if you're interested in the tickets, you're a member of the MOBB or Patreon, use the hashtag Beat Giants. All right. Or excuse me. Must win. Sorry. Must win is the hashtag. Hashtag must win. All right. MUSTWIN. Must win. All right. Let's take our first look at the Giants. Sunday Night Football, Week 15. Commanders at home. First time since 2017 we played a home game on Sunday Night Football. I'm amped. I'm juiced. I'm looking forward to it. Ron made a big deal about the turnaround and having to play San Francisco on a short week, having to fly all the way out to the left coast, play the 49ers, and it's not conducive for us. He wanted the game to be on Saturday instead of Sunday. All valid points. He's not wrong. But trust me when I tell you that these players much rather play under the brightest of bright lights on Sunday Night Football with everybody watching, the only show in town. They much rather be playing in that environment. At home for the first time in forever. Terry is the only guy that truly acknowledged how big of a game this is. I think everybody else kind of really tried to downplay it. I mean, they, in some way, shape, or form, acknowledged that this was a big game, but not any bigger than any other game, right? I talked about Charles Leno talking about how, the Giants' last game felt like a playoff environment. I don't know if I buy that. I can't tell. The players were amped, but that was a road game. It was the Giants. I didn't feel that vibe watching it. The only game this season has felt like a playoff game was the Monday night game at Philadelphia. That had a playoff intensity to me. Maybe not to the Eagles because they thought they were going to walk all over us. But for any Washington fan watching that game, it felt like the Steelers game all over again, which that one had a playoff environment and feel to it for us as well. So Terry was like, yo, since I've been here, I can't recall this big of a game at home in my entire career. I can't remember or recall us having a game that means this much this late in the season at home, especially on primetime. Nah, never had one of them. So this is a big one. Want to see what kind of fan turnout we get. Want to see, how we respond in this moment. But, the guys have done a great job under the bright lights this season. And really, for that matter, under Rivera, if I'm not mistaken, Washington is undefeated under Ron Rivera in primetime games. Not undefeated, rather, excuse me. They've lost one primetime game. I could be wrong, and I'll go through them very quickly. But I think the only primetime game, and I count the pseudo primetime games as well. Thanksgiving is a pseudo primetime game. It's really not truly a Thanksgiving or primetime game if it's not on, at 8 or 9 p.m. But the debacle in Dallas last year, 56-14, is the only loss that I think Ron has on primetime television. In 2020, we played Thanksgiving, and we played the final game of the season on Sunday night at Philadelphia. Won both of those games. In 2021, we played Thursday night in week 2 against the Giants. We won that game at home. And somebody referenced that 2021 game on Thursday night. I think it might have been Heinicke who said it was a 50-50 split. So I'm just looking for more fans than that to be in the game, at the game for us. So again, we've gotten a bad rap. We deserve it. I mean, but they've done this to us. They've run the crowd out of there, and All of the loyalty and the equity that was built up over the years. Daniel Snyder ran that shit out of town. They wasted that, squandered it a long time ago. So they've got to build that back up. That's what they're in the process of trying to do. But I think that was the only primetime game we had last season. I'm trying to think, other than the Dallas debacle. So that would make Ron 3-1. And then this year, Chicago, Philadelphia, and now this one. So he's 2-0 this year. Put the 3-1 from the previous 2 years. He's 5-1 under the lights here in Washington. So this team hasn't shied away from these opportunities. They've taken advantage of these opportunities, and they found ways to get it done. So I'm looking forward to them doing that again. There's not much that I need to say. I mean, we played this team 2 weeks ago. They were the last opponent that we played prior to the bye week. We know who the Giants are. I don't have to sit here and try to explain to you what their strengths and weaknesses are. The Giants are a team that's going to run the football, whether it's with their running back or their quarterback. They're going to have the short passing game be an extension of the run game. Daniel Jones had maybe 3 passes that traveled over 15 yards in the game prior to the last possession of regulation, where he just decided to let it rip 3 straight plays in a row. Missed Darius Slayton, threw it down the sideline again to, I think it was Slayton, and Danny Johnson had great coverage. And then he tried to zing it in there, and Danny Johnson almost picked it off. So the man started the game 15-16 with the one incompletion being a spike at the end of the second quarter to set up a field goal. But it was a lot of dink and dunk city. So a lot of bootlegs, a lot of action off of that read option that they're going to run to try to keep you honest, keep you at home. There's going to be some RPO off of that as well, where they can, pull it and throw it real quick. So we know the offense. We know they're going to try to get to the flats and to the edges with the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs. We know we got to come up and make tackles underneath. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. They'll take an occasional shot, but most of what their damage is going to be them matriculating the ball down the field in the short passing game and trying to run it down the field as well. Defensively, we know they're going to blitz. We know this is a fact. We know that Azeez Ojulari was a problem the last time we played them. We know that Dexter Lawrence is a problem inside. We know that Leonard Williams is a problem inside. We know that they have capable players. But just know that they're going to blitz. You're going to get man-to-man. You're going to have opportunities to win one-on-one matchups. So win them. I heard a lot, especially from guys like Jahan Dotson. We're going to get man-to-man. Taylor Heinicke said we're going. Don't be so sure that they're not going to try to switch it up. You think you're getting man-to-man. This may be the game where they decide to play zone. Just be wary of that. But whatever it is, whether it's zone or man, they're going to blitz. That's the constant. It doesn't matter if it's a zone blitz or it's man-to-man and they're blitzing across, they're blitzing and it's man-to-man across the board. They're coming. So be prepared. So we know what we're in for. And I want to read this real quick. It'll be the perfect segue to us transitioning to social media maneuvers. So I got another comment from my guy, King of the North. And I think this was actually not on socials. I think it was in the comment section of the video, honestly speaking. I'm going to go there and see if I can dig it out. Let's see if I can find it. If I can't, I'll just kind of try to recall the sentiment that he was trying to convey. And here it is. King of the North writes, "Thanks for responding to my message, Lou. I'm anxious as hell about this game. The problem with the Giants is our ball control game plan actually plays right into their hands. Our receivers are superior to their DBs. Our pass rush is superior to their pass protection. Of course, all that is negated if we run the ball up the gut all game and never build a large enough lead to make them start throwing the ball. We have a great game plan to beat better teams, but it also allows teams like New York to hang around, and the Giants are dangerous in the fourth quarter when they are still in the game. We have to clean up the penalties and score more touchdowns than field goals in the red zone, and we will be fine. Scott has had 2 weeks to scheme up some runs, so let's hope he attacks their edges, Curtis Samuel, and we get some chunk plays on the ground. So I thought that was a very, very apt comment. Like, it hit on all the major points. That's the reason you should be concerned as a Commanders fan, is that I never told you we were blowing the Giants out. I don't think that that's what's going to occur. That's not how we're built. I've already explained this to you. And he explained it beautifully. Because of how we play, it allows teams that we're better than to hang around in ball games, i.e. Houston, for instance. Even though we were up 20-0, we never fully put our foot on their necks. Why? Because as he laid out, we didn't score touchdowns. Instead, we kicked field goals. But also because of our style of play. When you run it like we do, when you're always constantly finding yourself in third downs that you need to be able to convert, you have to steer clear of penalties. Can't have those drive killers like we had against the Giants. You got to be able to execute in those situations, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. You got to be able to convert and move the sticks to give you another opportunity to run it and control and possess the football. And so that style of play is the great equalizer when you're playing a team that's better than you, i.e. Philadelphia, i.e. Minnesota, i.e. Dallas, San Francisco in a couple of weeks. When you're playing teams that are better than you, that you look at on paper and say they have a better roster than we do, that's the way you neutralize them. Take the ball out of their hands, force their offense to stay on the sideline and wait patiently, maybe get them out of rhythm and out of sorts while you do the dominating on the field. It doesn't always constitute to dominating on the scoreboard. Why? Because of what King of the North said. And what we've all talked about, what Ron talked about today, scoring more touchdowns in the red zone. When you settle for field goals, a 12-play, 78-yard, 7-minute and 37-second drive is awesome. But if it ends in a 27-yard field goal, that sucks ass, okay? Or in the case of the Giants game, when we went 11 plays, then 12 plays, and got nothing out of either one, because one drive was negated via a penalty and we went backwards and took a sack and then missed the field goal. In the other drive, the penalty killed the drive and we ended up having a punt. 23 plays, over 15 minutes of game time, 0 points. That's how you end up tied at 20. Like King of the North said, it plays right into the Giants' hands. They're not looking to be explosive and dynamic. They're just looking to hang around. And in the fourth quarter, what do I always say I want for us? I want a chance in the fourth quarter. That's all the Giants are looking for. That's all they've been looking for all season, because that's what has allowed them to steal games from teams. Just be around in the fourth quarter. They were around in the fourth quarter against Green Bay. What did they do? Stole the game. They were around in the fourth quarter against Baltimore. What did they do? They stole the game. They were around in the fourth quarter against Tennessee. What did they do? Steal the game. You allow them to hang around, they will take the opportunity to steal from you. Our style of play allows you to hang around, even when you shouldn't be around. He's not wrong. Here's the difference this time around is I think we're going to start cashing in on them. I think we're going to turn those long drives into touchdown drives. I think we're going to assert our will and our dominance over them better this time than we did last time. We'll see. Only time will tell. But to your point, and I was going to make this point later on in the week, but enough of you have heard me say this enough times to where I've put the battery in your back, and I'm proud of doing that. I put the Duracell in your back, okay? I put the Energizer in your back, and you guys are like, Scott's had multiple weeks to prepare for the Giants. They're in trouble. I'm not even worried about Scott this week. Y'all sound like me. But I feel confident in Scott's ability now that he's had 2 weeks to prepare for really 3 weeks to prepare for the Giants. He hasn't prepared for another team in 3 weeks. Feel like he's going to have a lot of stuff that either worked in the first game and he's like, yo, we should run that back, or some things that they saw that they didn't get to take advantage of that he'd like to take advantage of the second time around. Either way, I like the opportunity that is sitting right in front of us. So anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to social media maneuvers. I'm a midnight marauder. If you guys are out there, you know the routine. Let's get to it. All right. I'm going to jump into these super chats. Rush is Variety gets the night started. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, Turner had 2 weeks to prepare. Biggest game in years. Don't want to get my hopes too high, though. It's bitten me before. Hey, look, as a fan of this team, you are allowed to be paranoid. You are allowed to be apprehensive. You are allowed to be cautiously optimistic. You probably should be cautiously. Don't be me. Don't be like me. I tell the youth of America, I tell my kids, I tell my wife, I tell anybody that's close to me, don't be like me, be better than me, okay? I'm telling you right now, don't be like me, be better than me. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I feel very comfortable doing this, and I don't feel very comfortable doing this very often when it pertains to this team, but I feel very comfortable saying this. We're going to beat the Giants. We're a better football team, and that doesn't always mean you're going to win, and that really, frankly, doesn't mean a damn thing in this league, being better than another team, because you still got to go out and prove it. The Eagles, I'm pretty sure most of us can agree, the Eagles are better than us. They're 12-1. Their record states that, okay? They weren't better than us in week 10. So it doesn't mean a damn thing. We got to go out and we got to execute. But I feel good about that. And Scott Turner having 2 weeks does have to prepare, does have a lot to do with my confidence level. And not to mention just watching the Giants over the, like intently, not watching their game condensed in 41 minutes, but rather sitting down, watching each and every single play, each of the last 2 weeks has really given me great clarity with this football team. They're not that good talent-wise. And they got injuries to boot. And they just got some guys back, and I'm still looking at their roster like, this is all you have? I mean, we got done in week 13 by Isaiah Hodgins. 7/8 of our fan base and 5/7 of the Giants fan base don't even know who he is. Don't know where he came from, who drafted him, none of that. I'd venture to say that 9/10 of our fan base and 8/10 of their fan base doesn't even know where he came from, where he was drafted, and what school he played at. None of that. Who the hell is Isaiah Hodgins is what people are saying. He did us in the game last time. Like, that's what they're doing, though. That's who they got. They may not have Richie James this week. They just got a bunch of stuff out there running around, man. We're better than them. We just got to go out and prove it. And you have every right to not be all in quite yet. I'm telling you, I'm not afraid this time around. I feel good. I'm actually confident. I don't get to say that very often when it pertains to this team, but I'm actually confident. If they betray my trust and my confidence, I mean, it is what it is, But what if nothing else, what COVID taught me is I can't live my life in fear. I can't. Now, there's fear, and then there's just being smart and rational. If we were a bad team, me coming here and guaranteeing victory would be irrational. It wouldn't be smart. Frankly, that's dumb, stupid. But we're not a bad football team. And they've done enough good things this season, found ways to win games that, frankly, I didn't think they were going to win, and found ways to win when it didn't always look like that was going to be the case. I.e., the Chicago game after giving up that big run to Justin Fields, 1st and goal inside the 7-yard line. I didn't think we were going to win that game at that point. I think we just pissed away an opportunity to snap this losing streak that we were on. Falcons drive it all the way down inside the 5-yard line, 1st and goal. I damn sure didn't think we were going to win the game. Are you kidding me? We just pissed that opportunity away. Somehow we found a way to win. Down 9 against the Colts, 16-7. Heinicke just threw the pick that led to the touchdown that puts this game out of reach. Yeah, right. We're cooked. With 4 minutes left in the game, we're done. And then he pulls a couple of 4th down conversions out of his ass and throws the deep ball to Terry, and all of a sudden you look up and we still won 17-16. I didn't think we were going to win that game. Not after the shit I watched for 3.5 quarters. But they've instilled that kind of trust in me, that level of confidence that, hey, doesn't have to be pretty, but we're going to find a way to get it done. We're going to be gritty, and most importantly, it's going to be a dub. I trust that they'll get it done again in week 15. Biggest game in years. I'm confident. You don't have to be. I'll be confident enough for the both of us. How about that? Rush's variety. Sonny Rawson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Sonny writes, flying out with the old man from Colorado to see this game. Hope to bring home the dub, Lou. Both hands up. If Juice and Sweat are good to go, I feel good. I got both hands up. Y'all know how I do. And I think both are going to be good to go. If I had to pick one that I was more confident in, I'd say Sweat. I still don't really know what St. Juice's ankle is. And frankly, I don't know if we ever found out what grade of a sprain it was. I don't know if we ever found out high, mid-ankle sprain, none of that. It's just ankle, which is fine. They don't need to disclose that to us. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Tez would be ready to go more so than Juice. But let's hope that we have both of those guys back. I actually feel confident that we will. You know what to do. You and the old man going out to the game from Colorado, make it. There's been one guy that has ensured that we haven't lost a game this season. My guy, my Mexican brother, all right, Mr. Duran, okay, has been to 3 games this season. He went week 1 against Jacksonville. He went to week 6 against Chicago, and he went to the week 13 game against the Giants. And Ab has gotten it done now. We're 2-0-1. Okay, that was the first time we tied. But anytime Ab is in the building, I expect victory. At a bare minimum now, I just know we're not going to lose. We might tie, but we ain't losing with Ab in the building. I hope that I can say the same for you, Sonny, that you and your dad go take care of business. And this week's game is the most important week's game. And all I'm looking to do is go 1-0. Hopefully you can take the team to 1-0 in your lone appearance of the season with your pops. You know what to do. Make it happen. Ash Gaming, stand up. You are officially the newest member of the MOBB. So glad to have you on board. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. And Mob, y'all know what to do. Show Ash Gaming some love. Open arms wide. Hey, this thing is growing and growing and growing, and it couldn't grow this big at a better time, because this ride, I'm telling y'all, this ride doesn't end on January 1st. This ride is extending into January. I don't know when it stops, but it doesn't stop on January 1st when a lot of people get off the bus. Okay, a lot of teams get off of the ride on January 1st. We gonna continue to ride. Ash Gaming, welcome to the squad. Let's see. The Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Louie, 2 fists up. What's up, my friend? Tall. Oh, y'all. That's supposed to be a y'all. Better not lose to the Giants because you beating your chest too hard, beating my Eagles. So keep that same energy. This is the difference. Giants fans, they don't have the same bravado as Eagles fans because they kind of are cut from the same cloth as Washington. They haven't had a ton of success. They weren't expecting success this year. So they're a lot more modest. Eagles fans are the most annoying, not you, but a lot of your fellow Eagles brethren and sistren are very much so. Excited as you should be. Your team is really good, but it's the extra shit that makes it easy for everyone to hate you and want to see you lose and see your demise. So my energy level for the disdain that I have for the Eagles right now isn't matched by any other team in the division. Maybe outside of Dallas. I can't stand the Cowboys, and there are enough Cowboys fans that like to talk shit that I'd like to stick it to them as well. But we've already beaten you. I'm not worried. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not worried about you. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking past you. We already took care of business against you. The Giants, we haven't beaten them this season. I'd like to add them to the list of teams that we've put in the left-hand column. And so that's what I'm looking to do. But by no means is the energy any different in terms of wanting to win. There's just a slight bit more edginess when it comes to the Eagles and Cowboys, but I want to beat the Giants all the same. All the same. We're going to take care of business. I'm confident in the fellas. Christopher McLaughlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Chris, writes, hey, Lou, hope all is well. Likewise, Chris. Focus is on the Giants game. What do you think of our chances of running the table, finishing with the 5 seed? Dallas has Philly, at Tennessee, and Washington to end the season. Don't forget they have Jacksonville this week. That's a big one as well. What do I think about our chances of finishing the season as the 5 seed? Not very good. Not very good. So as I mentioned already, the Cowboys play the entire AFC South. They've already taken care of Indy and Houston. Okay, those are the 2 weakest teams in that division. Jacksonville is no pushover. It's also on the road. Same with the Titans game. That will be on the road as well. They will struggle in both of those games, but they will win both of those games. I'm convinced of that. And thus, they may not beat Philly. I think they're going to beat the Eagles, but if Jack continues to turn the ball over, they won't beat the Eagles. And whatever the case may be, you'd have to win out. I don't even see us winning out. Now, I'm not telling you what game I think we could or couldn't lose or this, that. I don't see us winning out, but it doesn't mean we won't. But even if we do, Dallas still has to cooperate. Okay, Dallas still has to cooperate. So you're pretty much asking the Cowboys to lose 3 out of their final 4, which we control one of those games. But you're asking Dallas to lose 3 out of their final 4. We have to be one of those 3 out of the final 4. And then you're asking us to essentially clean up. Because realistically, they're going to win either Jacksonville or Tennessee. They're going to win that game. They don't have to win both, but they're going to win one of those 2 games. They're not losing both of them. Okay. I'm still pissed because if Dallas wins all of their AFC South games, we will be the only team in the division that didn't clean up. Our division will be 15-1 against the AFC South, and we will be the only team that didn't sweep the AFC South. I told you that division sucked. I told you that we were going to be a better division this year record-wise because of who we were playing, and look at what the division has done. And we're the one team that let down the entire division by letting Tennessee beat us 21-17 when we had every opportunity to beat them. I'm still pissed off about that game. That's the most maddening loss of the entire season for me. I don't see Dallas relenting and coming up off of the 5th seed. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. I don't see it. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Matthew writes, Lou, forecast 30, I'm assuming 30 degrees, 14-mile-an-hour winds. Need some work by Turner and tight ends play well as run. Any advantage on the weather side, either side? Merry Christmas. If that is in fact the forecast, neither one of these teams are looking to throw the ball a ton, but I'd say that favors the Giants because we more so than them are looking to push the football down the field a little bit more because we have the weapons to do so. Whereas they're more so, you saw what their offense was. It was run it, Daniel Jones, RPO, Daniel Jones, sweep to the left, Daniel Jones boot to the right, find the tight end in the flats, Daniel Jones boot to the left, find a receiver coming across the formation. Daniel Jones hit the shallow cross. Daniel Jones check it down to the back out of the backfield on the swing route. Daniel Jones throws the screen. You saw what the offense was. Everything was short underneath. That's how he was damn near perfect in the first half. He had the one deep ball to Slayton down the field. That was it. Everything else was underneath and short. When you're throwing those short passes, the wind usually doesn't have a great opportunity to, destroy what you're trying to do. It's when you put the ball in the air that the wind has a chance to, send it sideways. It could affect field goal kicking, obviously, if the winds are gusting and howling. But cold is cold. You just deal with that. We just need the like you said, the tight ends have to play better. They were the weakest link against the Giants the first time around. They really hurt us. So we'll see. For us, the weather is what we want. Ron said this is what he wants. He wants, cold weather, wet weather, inclement weather. He got it against the Falcons, and we won the game. Let's see if it's cold now. Like, all right, this is what you asked for. Let's see what we do with it. Daniel Pitts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Daniel writes, gonna be a cold Sunday game, Lou. I can tell you this. I'm glad I won't actually physically be there. I'll be watching from home in my heated seat intently, but I will not be there. And I've been at FedEx Field late in the season on a Saturday night to watch the Washington then Redskins playing the New York Giants. It was cold as shit that night. I can't imagine the degrees being over 30 that night. I want to say it felt like it was in the 20s. It was one of those games where you picked a spot, you sat there, and you did not move. Getting up, it just wasn't worth it for your seat to be cold when you sat back down. Once you got it warm, just stay there. And I'm not the high five guy at the game. When a play is made, I got to turn around and high five everybody within a 5-seat radius of me in every direction. I'm not that dude. So I have no problems just planting my ass in the seat and sitting still. Tiki Barber kicked our ass that night anyway, but I digress. I've been there. I know the feeling. I don't envy anybody that's going to be there, but if you're going to be there, you might as well make the most of it. Be loud, be proud, and make sure that they know that you're in attendance. So it's going to be cold. It's December. It's supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be cold. It ain't supposed to be warm this time of the year. All right. Beloved Rain 44. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, do you think Jordan Love would be a viable option for us to go get? A Packers writer spoke to him saying that he would request a trade if AR comes back. So I read the same report. Somebody sent it to me on Twitter. So I told you a lot of this stuff ends up in my lap regardless, even if I'm not looking for it. Any name of a quarterback that comes up is going to be, linked to us by the fan base because we're desperate at the position. So the minute Baker Mayfield had the game, you wouldn't believe how many people hit me up about Baker Mayfield. When, Trey Lance, when Brock Purdy started playing well, I got Trey Lance comments from people. Hey, you think Trey Lance is going to be available? You don't even know who the 49ers would choose in that situation. They spent a lot of resources on Trey Lance. I think they would try to make that work first. And if anything, trade Brock Purdy and try to flip him for some shit. You know, that's what you do in those situations. Is you take the 7th round pick, flip him, and get a 2nd round pick and steal from somebody, and then let him go suck like the Patriots did for years with all their backup quarterbacks like Ryan Mallett and Matt Cassell, right? That's what you do. But I'm not shocked that I'm getting a Jordan Love question right now. I mean, it's crazy to me because, one, the Packers don't have to do anything. Jordan Love is not in a position of power. He doesn't control anything. They own his rights. He's under contract. The new CBA pretty much forbids players. He ain't made no real money yet as Jordan Love. He ain't made no real bread. So he ain't in a position to tell the Packers what he is or isn't going to do. He doesn't show up and they start finding his ass, he'll feel it. He ain't balling like that. So he can send out innuendos and feelers that he'd like to be moved if Aaron Rodgers is back. He's got absolutely zero power in that situation. Doesn't matter what he wants. If the Packers say, hey, you're of more value to us than trading you, you're not going anywhere, guess what? He ain't going anywhere. So I wouldn't really put too much stock into whether the Packers are looking to move on from Aaron Rodgers or not, or if Jordan Love is happy. He doesn't have a say in the matter. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And just another thing, what has Jordan Love showed you that that convinces you that he's a franchise quarterback? I loved him coming out of Utah State, first and foremost. Let me just say that. But what has he shown you that convinces you that you should give up draft capital to go? And it's not going to be cheap. It's not like you're going to get Jordan Love for a 5th round pick. You're going to have to give. They spent the 1st round pick on Jordan. They traded up and spent a 1st round pick on Jordan Love. You're going to have to give them something to get him. You got to be sure. He's not a known commodity. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, Meta, Mob, sup. Ron did say in camp this summer that Curtis had surgery last year, just not that it was before the season. Let's get that dub, Burgundy T tees. Y'all heard him. Go to the site, check it out, Burgundy T. Check out his t-shirts, man. He's done a great job with that. I don't recall that, but so y'all knew. I didn't know. That shit was news to me. I had no idea about the surgery. I didn't know Curtis Samuel had surgery. That one was news to me today, at least. So I missed that one. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, missed the earlier stream, so I wasn't able to chime in. Favorite Christmas song is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Grew up watching the movie from 98. For those of you unaware of what he's referring to, LouieTeeNetwork podcast, a huge chunk of the podcast was spent talking about Christmas music. I am a Christmas music savant. Okay, my ears are trained to find great Christmas music any and everywhere. And so I have a very long and extensive playlist of Christmas music. And I was just wondering what everyone's favorite Christmas song or songs were. And so we had a long discussion. If you're interested in that, go check out the podcast. I'm not going to do that here. But, I got one Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song on my playlist. And it's by Jessie J. And I love it. So, and we all grew up on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Who didn't? Singing it in elementary school. But anyway, I digress. Let's see. All right, got another super. This one is from Dejan Bell. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dejan writes, at this point, it's time for those all burgundy unis. Haven't had the best of success in those, in the past, our past lives as an organization, but no time like the present, right? I know they're wearing burgundy tops. Not quite sure if it's burgundy bottoms or if they're going to go Berg on Berg. if there was ever a time to go Berg on Berg, this would be it. Under the bright lights, prime time. This is the time to go Berg on Berg. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Berg on White. And I think the last time we wore the Bergs was week number 7 against Green Bay. I think that was the last time. We wore them week 5 against Tennessee was the very first time we wore the Bergs. 7 against Green Bay. And then I think this is the first time since week 7 we've worn them. So we're 1-1 in the Bergs. Time to make it 2-1. Whether it's all Bergs or Berg on White, they're wearing the Bergs. We do know that for sure. Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Twin D, writes, I'm looking for us to finally get over that 7-win plateau with number 8 and counting. And by the way, smash that like button. You heard the man, but just in case y'all forgot, I'll give you a little brief reminder here. Hit that like button. Doesn't cost you a thing. Also, subscribe to LouieTeeNetwork for more great content if you haven't already done that. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing on this channel. Yeah, it's time to break that imaginary glass that sits above our head with Ron Rivera as our head coach. 7 wins. And I'm not looking to just break it. I'm looking to shatter it all over the place. I'm still disappointed because the likelihood is this is at a maximum, it's a 10-win season with not beating the Giants. 10 is probably as high as you're going to go now. I was really looking forward to 11 this year because, again, this was the year to do it. And we had our chances. You know what's crazy is just like last year when we had that 4-game win streak and how close we were to being winless, same thing could be said this year. You don't beat Jacksonville in week 1, our season is totally different. We were down. We gave up 19 unanswered points in that game. And we were down 8 after, leading for much of that game, and Wentz threw 2 picks on consecutive plays. And we rallied and came back and won that game. And if we don't, you know how different this season looks? Because we lost the next 4 games. You do realize that. If you're 0-5, shit's over. But we came a long way, man. That's why I won't settle for us going meekly into the night. Sunday night or the remainder of the season. We came too far to just die and go down quietly without a fight. Now, it's too late for that shit. We here now. All right. Got another new member. We're going to Solomon. Why? Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB and definitely in the building. Y'all welcome Solomon with open arms. Looking forward to chopping it up with you, Solomon. Again, great time to be alive and to be a Commanders fan. Welcome on board. Squad, y'all know what to do. Welcome to the squad. Solomon, why? Welcome aboard. Rush is variety. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Rush is variety, who writes, thanks, Lou. I actually got to talk to you in the days when you took Skype calls. Good to see you still sticking with us. I ain't going nowhere, man. I'm glad y'all are sticking with me. Really appreciate you. And I look forward to continuing to chop it up with you guys into the future. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, when's the last time we were 8-5? Let's get the dub. 8-5-1. Okay. Don't forget the 1. That exists now. It's been a long time. I honestly can't tell you the last time we've been 8-5. I mean, again, it's been a long time because usually we are not above 500 this time of the year. We're on a run to get to 500 to then surpass it and finish up at 9-7 or 10-6. but 5 was never in the equation. Even in the 2012 season when we finished 10-6, remember, we were 3-6, and we needed a 7-game win streak to get to 10-6 in 2012. So you were never, ever 8-5. You were 8-6. You were 9-6, but you were never 8-5 and 1. Obviously, the Gibbs years, same deal. Got to get hot late in the season just to make it in. Those teams were again. I think the 05 team was a 10-win team. The 07 team, I don't believe, was a 10-win team. So again, got to get hot late. The 20 team wasn't a 500 team, and the 2015 team, again, another one of those get hot late teams, but we were 9-7 that year, so we were never 8-5. So I can't tell you the last time we were 8-5. You probably got to go back to the 1999. You know what? The 2000 season, when we had that disappointment with all of the Daniel Snyder free agents, and Carrier and Sanders and Jeff George and Bruce Smith and all those guys they brought in. We were actually really good early that season. We had a big win on the road against the Rams on a Monday night. I remember that game like it was yesterday. Jeff George actually came in that game and led us to a victory. That was probably the highlight of that season. I think it pretty much went to hell in a handbasket after that. But we were actually really good at that point of the season. So it might have been 2000. If it wasn't 2000, definitely 1999. That team was really good. That was the last chance that I actually thought we had a chance to win a Super Bowl other than 2012, but I didn't think we were good enough to beat San Francisco that year in 2012, even with a healthy Robert. I didn't think we were good enough to beat San Francisco. They were too fast and physical defensively. I thought we would have had problems with their defense, but 99, I thought we had a shot. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, my mindset going into this game is we have a great opportunity here. The schedule gave us an advantage here, and if we can't find a way to win, we don't deserve the playoffs. That's kind of the way I feel about this game. I won't denounce the playoffs if we don't win this game. I'm not going to jump off the deep end like I did against Tennessee. But I'm going to be pissed. I am going to be pissed and livid, but I'm not going to denounce the playoffs because it's not over. I just watched Seattle lose to the Carolina Panthers, and Panthers are playing really good football right now. I don't want to dismiss what they're doing. They're one game out of the playoffs themselves in their division, but if you're serious about making the playoffs, you can't lose to Carolina at home if you're Seattle. I watched them lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Like, we're still going to have a great chance to get in no matter what happens, but it gets harder. And if you want people to take us seriously, if you want to take respect, you have to win games like this. And you couldn't have said it any more eloquently. We got a gift here on the schedule. Not only did we get a quirk where we're playing the same team back-to-back times, but there's a bye week sandwiched in between. We're refreshed. We're the better team. We're healthier. We're fresher, and we have an advantage. We didn't have to game plan for the Eagles last week. They did. We have to take advantage of this, and we will. All right. And if we can't, I don't know if we deserve to go. I'm not saying that we won't go, but I'm going to be pretty disappointed. I really, truly am. The last time I felt this good about a game, we lost. But we also weren't a very good team then either. The last time I felt this good about a game in terms of the outcome and how it should go was the Titans game. I told you guys flat out, they don't have anything on offense other than Derrick Henry. They don't have any receivers. We should beat the Tennessee Titans. And we should have. Everything I said came to fruition except the final score. Derrick Henry ran on us in the first half. We shut him down in the second half. And we had our opportunities. And we didn't make enough plays. The Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. who writes, Lou, you have said that week 3 team is dead and gone. Y'all have a new identity and you're back in the car. What percentage do you give the car crashing and burning up? The week 3 team is dead and gone. Now, the offensive line, I can't be assured that they're 100% stabilized because we're back to that, not to necessarily the same offensive line, but we're back to a semblance of what that offensive line was, the makeup of it, at least in week 3. But they're playing much better football. They're more confident. They're much more sure of what is expected of them. But I'm not necessarily comfortable with Wes Schweitzer at center. He's going to have to earn my trust there again, because he had it last year, but last year is last year, this year is this year, and it wasn't good earlier in the season. So I need to see it, but I know he's capable. So I'm not really tripping too hard. Yeah, that team's dead. We have an identity. We were lost back in week 3 when we played. We had no idea. Carson Wentz was throwing it 40 some odd times a game. There was no Brian Robinson Jr. in that first game that we played you guys. We're a totally different outfit now. I'm back in the whip, and the percentage of the car crashing and burning, it's probably 10%. It definitely could happen. I wouldn't put it any lower than 10%. You don't beat the Giants, and that 10% goes to probably like 40%, 35, 40%. But right now, I think it's at 10%. I don't see it happening, but there's a chance. Eddie Behringer, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Eddie B, writes, Lou, Eddie will be at the game with my son for his first game ever. We bringing home the dub. Y'all know what it is. Don't talk about it, be about it. Make it happen. Like Mariah Carey, make it happen. Make it happen. I hope your son gets to experience the taste of victory in his first ever game. Take that young man, have the time of your life, and come home winners. Ain't nothing better than that. Mariah Carey, make it happen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Make it happen. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Rocky D, writes, what's up, fellow monarch? What's going on, Rocky D? Just to get off topic for a split second, if Jeff Bezos buys the team and owns Amazon Football, is that considered money laundering? No. I mean, the league always protects the shield and protects its investments. And each organization is an investment into the league. And there is no way they would allow someone to come into the league and own a team that has a competing interest, right? Anything that may be viewed as something borderline illegal, or as I just mentioned, a conflict of interest, they're not going to. He would have to get rid of, that if it were a problem. If they saw that that was a problem, he'd have to get rid of it. And that's every league. You can't have something that is a conflict of interest with you owning a team. So I don't think so. But Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Paul Mack. I actually have that one on my playlist, but it's actually Kelly Rowland. She does a beautiful job with it. And I told you, the thing about Christmas music is just about, unless it's an original song, right? A song that it just belongs to you. You're covering a previously recorded Christmas song. And so the thing that makes everybody's doing the same song, right? Everybody's got a Christmas album, and they pick the ones that speak to them, but everybody's doing the same songs. So what separates you is how you put your twang on a song. And I thought Kelly Rowland killed it. And I told you, my ears are trained to pick out the best of the best. My wife asked me, why don't you have SWV has a Christmas album? Why don't you? And I love SWV, and she knows that. Says, why didn't you pick out one of their songs? Why isn't that on the playlist? I said, because they were basic, bae. My ears are trained to pick out the best of the best. And while I love Coco, Taj, and Lily, none of those songs stood out to me. None of those songs spoke to me in a way that says, I got to be on the list. Put me on the list. They're just basic songs. Kelly Rowland killed Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. It's a great song. Thank you for that, Dejan Bell. Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, sup, Lou? Sup, Door Gunner? I'm flying up from Miami for the Dallas game. If we can make the playoffs, you better come to the game. Come join the MOBB in celebration. I've thought about coming to a playoff game. I'm not going to lie to you. I've thought about attending, but the likelihood is I wouldn't go. First of all, it's not going to be a home game. If I come to a game, coming to a home game. I'm not going to a road game, okay? I'm enjoying the game amongst family, amongst other Washington Commanders fans. So we're not getting a home game this year in the playoffs. More likely than not. More likely we're going to be the 6th seed, if not 6th, 7th seed. I can't see us getting to the 5, but there's a chance. The higher seed you are, the more likely it is that you can find yourself in a home game situation. But you can't play. There's no possible way to play in a home game as a 7th seed. No possible way. There's only one way you can play in a home game if you're a 6th seed, and that's if the 7th seed plays you in the championship game. 5th seed, things can happen. You can play the 6th or the 7th. Stranger things have happened, but the likelihood is, as a wild card, you're never going to see home field. So you're coming up for Week 18 against Dallas. Right now, we have no clue what that game is going to mean. The next few weeks will tell the story and will spell out what that game means for both teams involved. It can mean everything for Washington. It can mean nothing for Dallas. It can mean everything for Dallas and nothing to Washington. It can mean nothing for both teams. It can mean everything for both teams. So we'll see. Either way, they are retiring the number of one Sonny Jurgensen. So if nothing else, there will be some good juju in the building. We need to take care of business. I don't care if we're playing Sam Howell in that game. I want to beat Dallas. But we'll get there and cross that bridge when we get there. We're not there. Giants right now, that's all my brain can, withstand right now. It's just Giants. Door Gunner, thank you for that super chat. All right. Let's see. Got another super chat. This one is from Door Gunner. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Door Gunner writes, I meant if we have a playoff spot locked up, come to the last home game against Dallas. I will be there in the cold. Okay, you're talking about the final home game. I definitely wouldn't be in attendance for that. It takes something pretty special to get me out of my house, especially FedEx Field, because it's a dump. And I've said that the next game that I attend will more likely than not be at a brand new stadium. That'll be the first time that I'll go to a game in a long time. But anything could happen. That could definitely change. We get, a home playoff game in the NFC Championship. I want to be a part of that environment. I want to be at that game. I don't want to, miss an opportunity, because I would imagine that fans in 1991 that saw Washington go on the run that they went on that year to win the Super Bowl, beating the Lions and then or beating the Falcons and then beating the Lions in their 2 playoff games. I would assume that they didn't think that would be the last time they would see an NFC Championship game at RFK or in Washington or whatever. It was RFK then. Pretty sure they didn't think that'd be the last time because they had gotten used to it. Haven't seen one in RFK since, or in Washington since. So if we get one, I can't assume that this is standard operating procedure and we'll get back there. We may never get back there in my lifetime. So if we get one, I'm there, baby. I'm there. Sign me up. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Rocky D, who writes, you mentioned not playoffs with Super Bowl. You sound real luckish right now. I ain't buying what you selling, Rocky D. Unless you're talking about me going to the game, you want me to say, what are you talking about? And then so you can just hit me with a D's nuts. Even if it's not you, and if it's you, Rocky, I apologize. But this feels real luckish right now. I'm sorry. I'm going to assume you're talking about me going to the game. I'd go to an NFC Championship game. You won't catch me at a regular season game. Even if it's a win and we're in against the Dallas or like it was in 2012, I ain't going to that. Not until we get a new stadium. It'll be different. And a lot of things would change by the time we get a new stadium. I mean, we're not scheduled to get a new stadium until when? 2027, 2028, something like that. Like, that's way down the road. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I digress. All right, so that is the last super chat. So I'm going to get out of here and allow you guys to enjoy whatever it was you were doing before I rudely interrupted. This is a big, important game. I can't stress that enough. One of my favorite lines of Big Daddy, one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. I love all the early Adam Sandler movies. Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, Wedding Singer, Waterboy. That was the golden age of Adam Sandler movies. I wasn't a Billy Madison guy, but everything after Happy Gilmore, heat, straight fire, up until about Lil Nicky. That's when I kind of got off, boy. He says to him, he falls asleep watching the Kangaroo song. All right. But before that, he was taking a nap. He ate all these snacks and he takes a nap and he wakes up and the Rangers are playing and he's into it. It's a big game. And he's eating a chip and he's trying to be quiet because the kid's sleeping on the table. And he gets excited. He does that because the Rangers end up getting a penalty shot, right? And the kid gets up and he's in front of the TV and he's got the Kangaroo song tape in his hand. He's like, hey, kid, what are you doing? And he said, Kangaroo song. And he's like, can you watch out? This is a big, important game, And he's bouncing on the little ball. He said, and he repeats him, it's a big, important game. He said, okay, stop doing that. Stop doing what? That. And then he, hit him with the, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And then the kid just stops. But anyway, I digress. This is a big, important game. We will talk more about this big, important game tomorrow as we go behind enemy lines. We will get a report from practice. We will get an injury report that will, I think, give us a better window and picture into where we sit from an injury standpoint heading into this big, important game. And then we are going to get to Friday. We'll give away the tickets. I'll give you my keys to victory and my prediction. You already know I think we're going to win this game. So I've got a score in mind. I've got how we arrive at that score, everything. I've already played this game out in my mind since the tie at least 100 times. It's not going to go the way that I think it's going to go in my mind, but that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So we will talk about it some more. Anyway, let's see. Tanya Spencer, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Tanya. Once again, thank you. Spanking Giant Cheeks, Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Spanking Giant Cheeks, who writes, "No, the hell it ain't. Get back in here, Lou." I'm about to get out of here, Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Spanking Giant Cheeks. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, who writes, "I told you, Lou, you don't got to worry about these nuts jokes anymore. I've retired. Just let it go, Lou. Let it go." I don't believe you. You need more people. You're trying to soften me up like a butterball, okay? Like the Pillsbury Doughboy. So you can poke me and I go, hoo-hoo, you got me. Hell no. I'm always going to be on the lookout. I'm one slip up away from getting got, and you've already gotten me enough, okay? So you don't have to worry about me easing up. My foot ain't coming up off the gas, all right? I'm on it, bro. I'm on it. So anyway, I digress. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow. Remember, if you're interested in the tickets, you're a member of the MOBB or Patreon, hashtag must win. Hashtag must win. All right. Spanking Giant Cheeks. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "Pretty good. I wouldn't have believed luck either. I wouldn't believe luck either. Trust me. I know better than that. Mama didn't raise no fool. Put me anywhere on God's green earth. I triple my worth. You ain't got to worry about me. I'm here, man. I'm locked and loaded at all times. Anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless and good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
LouieTeeNetwork.
I guess I'm not done yet. Got a couple supers here. Spanking Giant Cheeks. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, "I don't know why you keep trying to leave. I'm calling Sonny." You can't do it by yourself. You would need help. You would need some help. That is for sure. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rocky D writes, "LOL, I don't know Cheeks, dude." You don't, but if you're here long enough, you'll know him all right. You'll know him. Trust me. Anyway, y'all get out of here, man. I'm going to do the same. Take care.